Good morning. This is video number 6. Last video, I kind of got off track on my life a little bit and just told you what was going on for the day, which I had to do with sewer pipes, and I'm very excited to be able to not hear all the gurgling noises and be able to put toilet paper in the toilet. I know that's kind of gross, but if you don't have it for a while and you do, you're thankful for it. So anyway, back on track with my life and things about me that you may not know. Video number 4, I told you about being a single mom. Well, there's life after being a single mom when your kids grow up. I want to talk about being a grandma. That is the most awesome thing in the world. And I want to talk about when God started bringing more people to our little family of 3. And that first person would be Israel. And I remember Sarah was 19 and she came home from Alaska where she was going to Bible school. She's my very adventurous little girl. And she decided that it was time for her to find a mate. And I was like, you're not an old maid. That's what she said, because all her friends were getting married. I know she might think that's kind of funny that I'm telling you this, but I think it's funny. So, but you know, at the time I thought she was crazy, and now I know that that was a desire that God put in her heart to be married. She found the most awesome man, but I want to tell you something. I'm just going to bare my heart. I was scared. Yesterday I talked a little bit about fear. I have a lot of fears in my life that I've overcome and that I'm overcoming, and one of them was when she brought Israel home. He didn't know any English. He's from León, Mexico. I didn't know him. I didn't know his family. He wasn't the picture of what I thought Sarah should marry. And I didn't know. But by the grace of God, I didn't throw a fit or try to manipulate Sarah and her romance. And I trusted Sarah, trusted that God in her would show her exactly what to do. And he has turned out to be the most awesome husband and son-in-law and father that our family could ever have. I mean, he is the most awesome addition to our family. And I'll tell you what, Sarah did not know any Spanish, and Israel did not know any English when they got together. But I'll tell you what, there's something very powerful about love. And they both speak each other's languages now, and they understand each other, and they communicate so much better than a lot of other people do that have been married for years and speak the same language. And I just want to thank God, because we are very fortunate to have such an awesome marriage in our family. Well, after marriage comes babies, and I'm going to tell you about my first grandson and the first time I became a grandma. He was born the day after my birthday, which that's just pretty stinking cool. And we knew he was going to be born sometime in July, so I booked a flight to Alaska because that's where he was born, and I booked it at least 2 weeks past his due date so that I would make sure that he was here. I didn't want to fly to Alaska for nothing. So I remember it took me 19 hours to get there flying, which is not always the easiest thing, but it's fun, and I'm glad I got to say that I did it. I'll never forget the little tiny jet that I flew in from Anchorage to Homer where he was at, and there they were, Mom and Dad and the little baby, and that was the first time I got to properly introduce myself to this little boy, Christopher Luciano Castro. And he is just such a joy in my life. He's almost 6. Our birthdays are here, July 29th and July 30th, here pretty soon. And he'll be 6 years old. And I want to tell you a little bit about that trip. When you become a grandma, you do things you wouldn't normally do. And that's the same for being a parent. But when you're a parent, you kind of have control of the situation. When you're a grandma, you don't. Your kids have control of the situation. So let me tell you about my trip to Alaska to see my new grandbaby. I got there and Sarah's like, Mom, Israel and I have decided to move back home. I'm like, okay. And she said, yeah, we're going to leave here in a week. Now, I had planned on being in Alaska for 2 weeks. And so I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do? And she's like, why don't you try to change your flight? Well, I tried to change my flight, and it was going to cost me another $300 to come home early. And I'm like, Sarah, I don't have $300 extra to spend on changing my flight. She's like, well, that's all right. We'll figure it out. So Sarah, being the adventurous and industrious young lady that she is, she found somebody to lend me a car. And her landlord let me stay in their apartment. So for a few days, I roamed around Homer, Alaska, all by myself, not knowing hardly anybody. I knew Hope Otero, but she works all the time, and she couldn't babysit me. So I actually had the time of my life, being a little bit adventurous, kind of like Sarah. So anyway, I got to take pictures of moose families. I don't know how you say that, but anyway, right up close. I got to go to the beach when the tide was out. I got to go to the Salty Dog Bar. I didn't go in, but I went by it because it's just very interesting. I got to eat outside by the, where all the ships are, the bay. I had a great time. I had a little camera and I had fun. Well, before Sarah left, she found me a ride to Anchorage a couple days before my flight was to leave. And I'm like, well, Sarah, where am I going to stay? These motels are really, really expensive. And she said, Mom, it's all right. You can stay in a hostel. Well, I didn't know what hostel was. I never even heard of the word hostel. I was thinking brothel, and I was like, well, I'm not staying in a brothel. And she's like, no, Mom, it's like a poor man's bed and breakfast where you pay for a bed instead of a room. And she says, they put all the women in one room and all the men in another room, and you'll be all right. And I'm like, okay. So I got to the hostel. We found one online and we booked a room, and it was like $25 for a bed. And I got there, and Sarah's friends dropped me off. And I got there, and it was a little couple from India, and they were arguing in their language. I didn't know what they were talking about. And now that I'm back home and and I know the situation, I think what they were doing was trying to see where they wanted to put me. So they got me a bed, and it was in a room that had 2 sets of bunk beds. And I noticed that one bed wasn't made, so I knew I had a roommate. And so then I went out to socialize with the other people, and nobody there knew English. There were Russians. There was somebody that looked kind of Oriental. There was some Mexicans. There was everybody but English-speaking people. And so I thought, well, this is okay. You know, I was raised on the border. I like international, multicultural type situations. So we sat down to eat supper, and in walked a blonde girl, about 24 years old, and I was like, well, there's my roommate. So I said, well, you must be my roommate. And she said, oh, no, I don't sleep in the house. I sleep in the backyard in a tent. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she's like, yeah, I'm backpacking around Alaska all by myself. I was like, do your parents know that you're doing this? And she's like, oh, yeah, they don't like it, but, I'm 24 years old and I can do whatever I want. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, whatever floats your boat. So I went wandering around in the backyard, and sure enough, there was a whole backyard full of tents, and there was an outhouse, and I guess you only have to pay $15 if you stay the night in a tent in the backyard. So I was learning all kinds of wonderful things. Well, it was time to go to bed. I still had not seen my roommate, and I went to bed, and I was on the phone, and I was very comfortable there, and I didn't lock the door. And pretty soon, in walks the Oriental man, and I'm like, oh, crap. So he noticed that I was not asleep, and so he walked out, and I was like, oh, my. So I locked the door, and I went back and got in bed, and I did not sleep at all because I was like, oh, my. And pretty soon, here comes the Oriental man. He had a key. He unlocked the door, and he went and got in the top bunk above where I was and went to sleep. And I didn't sleep very much that night because I didn't know about this. Well, long story short, it turns out that the women's room was full of young girls who liked to party. So I'm pretty sure the little Indian couple were trying to figure out where to put me, in with the old man or down with the party girls. And so I'm kind of glad they put me with the old man. He was a perfect gentleman, and he didn't do anything inappropriate, and I got to sleep, and I needed my sleep. So anyway, that is the story that I tell everybody, that I met my grandson and spent the night with an Oriental man in Alaska. So that is just a funny story. I ended up coming home, and all my friends got to see my baby boy without me because they were home a week before I was, but I had a great time, and I don't intend to run around Alaska by myself ever again, but since I did, and you know, it was fun, and it's a fun story, and I can't wait to tell Christopher about it when he gets a little older. And anyway, that's kind of the fun stuff about being a grandma, at least the first time. I'll have to tell you about Zion. He's the next little boy, and then Dominic's the next one, and then we have our little Princess Arabella, our little girl. And being a grandma is the bomb. So I'm just here to tell you that that's the next leg of my life, was having Israel as part of our family, and then our 4 wonderful grandchildren. And again, I'm happy Mike's here to enjoy these babies with me. And I hope you're enjoying these videos. They seem to be getting longer and longer. I'll try to make tomorrow's shorter. But until then, you guys have a great day, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.